If you're stuck in a cycle of overthinking, worrying, or obsessing, you are not alone. I've been there too. And in this video, I'm going to explain 5 powerful psychological strategies you can start to utilize to quiet your mind and overcome these thought patterns. Now, as a bonus, if you comment "heal now" below, I'll send you a free guided meditation that's going to help you find peace of mind and overcome these negative thought loops. Let's dive into it. Unpleasant thinking patterns can include worrying, excessive thinking, problem solving, obsession, self-criticism, catastrophizing, and things like hopeless or despairing thinking. Now, why does unpleasant thinking take place? There's 3 main reasons. First, negativity bias. We've known this for a long time. As human beings, most of us are slanted towards thinking negatively. And this is a survival mechanism. You are more likely to survive if you worry, obsess about a problem, and try to fix it and figure it out. It made sense that way back in the day, those people were more likely to survive. In my opinion, it's kind of an evolutionary trait that we think in a more slanted negative way. So this is partly what we're combating. Reason number 2 is story follows state. This comes from a therapist named Deb Dana. Now, story follows state. What you need to understand is your thinking is not just happening out of nowhere. A lot of times what's occurring to people is the state of their nervous system, their emotional state is resulting in these unpleasant thoughts. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're feeling anxious inside. You wake up feeling anxious. It happens to a lot of us. It happens to me some days. If you're already feeling anxious inside, what type of thoughts do you think are going to start to take place? It is going to be fear thoughts, worrying, catastrophizing, maybe some obsession. So it's important to understand that thoughts don't just naturally happen. It's often occurring due to the state of your nervous system. And this is really key when we get into these strategies later to understand that we sometimes need to go to the source of the problem, which is the state of your nervous system and your emotional state. This is driving these mental thoughts that are taking place. Now, the third reason unpleasant thinking patterns occur is they become wired into your brain. So another thing that happens is your brain learns to think in this way. If since you were 7 years old, you were prone to worrying about everything around you, about every danger you faced, if you were constantly obsessing, what happens is worrying and obsessing become wired into your brain. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Your brain is a learning machine. And so if you've worried your whole life or obsessed your whole life, you're going to naturally move in that direction really easily. I experienced this too when I was healing. I was really prone to worrying, obsessing, self-criticism, and my brain essentially made a template. It made, for example, a worry template. So any problem that occurred, any sense of danger I felt, my brain would just snap into worrying really easily. So these are the 3 main reasons that unpleasant thinking patterns occur. Negativity bias, story follows state, and they become wired into the brain. And this is really important to understand as we start to dive into healing. And I want to give a message of hope that healing your thinking patterns is very possible. I know that I can still snap into worry sometimes, but compared to 10 years ago, it's night and day. I was lost in obsession and worry 10 years ago. Nowadays, I might slip into it once in a while, but it's not nearly as often and it's not nearly as intense. So these 5 strategies I'm going to discuss, they work really well. But here's the thing about thinking patterns is you need to be really consistent in utilizing these strategies. If you use one of these strategies once a day, that is not going to be enough to shift your thinking patterns. We need to be very consistent, very committed. Now, I'm careful here. I don't want people to get too intense, but we need to consistently do the work to see the results. So let's dive in to these 5 powerful psychological strategies. Number 1, awareness and don't buy in. Awareness may seem obvious, but here's what happens when you're having unpleasant thoughts. You get sucked out of the here and now. We're not even really present. And a lot of people, when I'm working with them in therapy, they don't even realize when they've been sucked into their unpleasant thinking patterns. They're not aware of it. They could go 3 days before they realize they've been obsessively thinking and worrying about a certain problem in their life. It's really hard to shift anything if you're not aware. So what I suggest is after you watch this video for the remainder of the day, just be on the lookout. Have a radar for whatever unpleasant thought patterns you struggle with and just name it right when it's happening. Oh, I'm worrying again. Oh, I'm excessively thinking about this. I'm excessively trying to solve this problem. The quicker you can have the awareness, the quicker you can start to do something about it. And that awareness sometimes is enough where we name it that can snap people out of it. Not always, it's not always that simple, but sometimes that can be really effective. Now, the second part of this strategy is don't buy in. So you're having the awareness, oh, I'm worrying, and then you're choosing to not buy into it. Here's the thing about your thinking. 95%, I would say, maybe even a bit more, of your thoughts, so 95% of your thoughts are not factual. They're not. We live in our mind and we think every thought that takes place is reality, but it's often not. Most of the time, our thoughts are not objectively true and they're not objectively helpful in any way. And so you're having that awareness and you're choosing to not buy in. Be like, no, I'm not buying in. This is not actually factual. This is not taking place. That can be a really effective strategy to not get sucked down the thought spiral. We all have thought spirals that we get lost in. If you can choose to not buy in right away, it can be really effective. Now, I'm aware that obviously sometimes your unpleasant thoughts can have some truth to them, but I do stand by this understanding that most of them are not objectively true and not objectively helpful. And if you can have that awareness right away and choose not to buy in, this can go a long way in overcoming your unpleasant thought patterns. Number 2, safe self-talk. When you have an unpleasant thought, say a worry, you want to counter it by giving yourself some safe self-talk. So this is a message you can give yourself that creates a little bit of safety, calmness, and is overall a more balanced thought. Here's what I do not want you doing. I don't want you lying to yourself. I'm not for toxically positive thinking. Don't tell yourself that you're going to be the best at something when you're really struggling in your life at that point. It's just too far off of the truth that it's not going to land very well. Your brain's smart. It's going to know if you're lying. So I'm all about safe and balanced thoughts. So I'll give you an example from my own life. So years back when I started my own company, I was pretty stressed out. Starting a business can be very stressful. It's very overwhelming. And one morning at 4 a.m., I got an email from the CRA. So if you're in the US, this is kind of like Canada's IRS. I got an email from the CRA telling me, hey, like you messed up on your business taxes. Now what occurred is I started to spiral. I excessively thought about it from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. I was having these fear thoughts that my business was going to be shut down. I was going to go bankrupt. It got really extreme really quick. And so what I shifted to is giving myself some safe self-talk, some more balanced messages about this situation with the CRA. So here's some examples of the thoughts that I gave myself. The CRA has called me before and nothing really bad has occurred. If you owe anything in terms of money, you can pay it off slowly. There is no point in excessively thinking about it or worrying before you talk to them. This will accomplish nothing. I know I feel anxious today, and this is likely affecting my thought patterns. Remember, story follows state. You have been capable of handling scary financial issues in the past, and you can handle this one. So these are some examples of safe self-talk that you can give yourself. Notice with all of those, I never once lied to myself. I was just giving myself more balanced ways of thinking, which helped calm my nervous system and helped me overcome worrying and obsessing that morning when I got that letter. So this stuff does really work. Here's what I want people to do. Write out some safe self-talk around various topics that you struggle with. So if you struggle with a lot of worry at work, write out some messages that somewhat land for you, that feel believable and that are credible. You want to do this with topics you typically struggle with because we know that your brain's going to snap into worrying about work because it's done that for the last 10 years. So write some out, maybe 3 to 5. You don't need to do this excessively. And then as you go about your day, each time you notice an unpleasant thought happen, really be aware of it, don't buy in, and then give yourself some safe self-talk really quick. This should take you 20 seconds to do, but if you can do it consistently as you go about your day, it helps rewire your brain. It helps rewire your brain away from having unpleasant thinking patterns. This stuff really works, but again, you just need to use it consistently. Number 3, shift from mind to behaviors. I actually really like this strategy. This is one that I utilize very consistently. And even my partner, Anne, she's wonderful. She's also a therapist. This is the one she often directs me to do if she knows that I'm falling into a thought spiral. It's a really effective thing that you need to learn to do. Shifting from being in your mind thinking to being present and engaging in life, engaging in a behavior that brings about a sense of ease, calmness, enjoyment, or passion. So again, when we have negative thinking, we get sucked out of the here and now. And what we're teaching our brain to do is I don't need to spend my whole day lost in unpleasant thinking patterns. I can be in the present, living life, focusing on what I'm doing. So I'll give you some examples. One thing that I often do is I go and mindfully make a coffee, a pot of coffee, or a tea. And I'm really in the moment with all the steps it involves. So if I'm lost in catastrophizing, I'm shifting out of my mind to noticing everything about that experience. So filling the coffee pot full of water, measuring it out carefully, putting the coffee filter in, being really mindful of my movements as I scoop and put the coffee in the coffee maker. Like I'm really slowing it down and being in the present moment. Another thing that I like to do is go and shift to playing with my kids or playing with my puppy. I find playfulness can be quite healing for me. I think it's healing for a lot of people. And so it gets me out of my mind right away. I start to wrestle with my dog or do tickle fights with my kids. You want to find behaviors that generally are enjoyable. It could also be like motivating or purposeful action. So you can do this a lot at work. I know some of us don't like our jobs, so I totally get that. But we work a lot of our day. So if you have the ability to shift out of your thinking to be very mindful and present at whatever task you're doing at work, this helps rewire the brain. So really practice this. It will take time. This is not going to be easy at first, but it's such an effective thing. And over time, as you use it consistently, your brain will do it more naturally. This will become automatic. And that's what I hope for everyone. Number 4, shift from your mind to your body. Now, the last strategy I talked about, shifting from your mind to behaviors, this one is exactly the same, except instead of shifting to behaviors, you're shifting to the sensations in your body. Remember, story follows state. These unpleasant thinking patterns, they are occurring because of the state of your nervous system or the state of your emotions. And so you want to have the ability to shift your focus from being lost in thought to noticing the sensations that are taking place within. I teach people in my practice, in my therapy practice, to drop into their body and sit with anxiety, sit with stress, sit with sadness they might be feeling. Learn to sit with it, explore it, process it. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, comment heal now below, and I will send you a free audio practice that's going to help you shift from your mind to your body. If you just do this 2 or 3 times, you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. And this is something that I think is such a useful skill. We want to teach our brain to not value our thoughts so much. We want to lower the importance level of our thoughts. And we do that by shifting to behaviors, external behaviors, or shifting inward to sensations. If you do this consistently, you will naturally have a different focus. You won't be so cognitively focused, which I know is hard because our society, it loves us to be intellectual and cognitively focused. This is what we're taught. And so I'm helping you unlearn that now. Make your thoughts less important. That's going to help you overcome these unpleasant thinking patterns over time. Number 5, use nervous system regulation practices. One thing that I don't love about the therapy world is when therapists focus solely on the cognitive with people. If you just focus on challenging and changing your thoughts, it only takes us so far. Again, story follows state. So we need to have a deeper connection with our nervous system, with our emotions, with the sensations within, because this is often driving the mental events that are taking place in your mind. And so nervous system regulation practices are easy practices to utilize that create more safety, connection, calmness, and ease. Now, some examples of this is shifting from your thoughts to focusing on your breath. Doing some breath work, diving into that. I have a breath work practice that I'll put the link down below in the description of this video that you can utilize. Learn those breathing patterns. When you notice a negative thought, an unpleasant thought, dive into your breath. I do the same with somatic movement. I'm a Qigong teacher. Somatic movement is so powerful. It's so healing. I really recommend people add it to their healing practices. So if I'm lost in my thoughts, I'll shift to do a Qigong practice. I have a free practice as well on this. I'll put it down below as well. Some other simple ones that work really well is cold water. Cold water will activate your parasympathetic nervous system and calm you down quick. I know it's unpleasant for people, so just start with maybe a cold shower for like a minute, maybe 2 minutes if you can tolerate it, but it can snap us out of our mind and regulate our system quick in the moments. Whenever people are having like panic attacks, for example, in my office when I'm working with them, I have ice packs so they can use ice packs to put on their back of their neck that calm their system down. And lastly, you can use grounding. So go barefoot and go stand in some grass. It can be very healing. It's grounding. It can be very regulating for our system. So these are some simple nervous system regulation practices that over time are going to regulate your system and help you unlearn unpleasant thinking patterns. So I hope this video was helpful. If you need extra support in your healing, I have 2 agencies that could benefit you. I have a therapy practice with a whole team of therapists that I've trained. Now, I'll put the link down below for that. We're able to work across Canada with people. And my second agency offers a full, in-depth digital course. It's one of the most comprehensive ones on the market. It has over 60 somatic practices, brain retraining techniques, and it's designed to help people heal their chronic pain, chronic illness, and nervous system dysregulation. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.